Hi, welcome to this video about this guy. I am excited that we can talk about Superman. This is actually going to be part one of hopefully only two-piece uh, series about Superman and why he is my favorite superhero of all time. There are going to be some simple, superficial reasons that I love Superman, and there are some deeper reasons that I love Superman. And I'm going to do my best to not critique too much what's been out there. I will instantly confess to the fact that I have not seen every Superman property. You know, the gatekeeper inside of me wants to say, "Oh, but I really shouldn't even talk about this because I haven't read every Superman comic of every derivation, right? Of all the weird worlds that they did. I haven't seen every single Superman animation thing, TV show or movie, nor have I uh, watched every Superman movie or every portrayal of Superman in a movie. I haven't seen Justice League. I don't think. I don't think. Parts of my life they're kind of a blur. I'm mostly kidding, but I don't think I've seen that one. But I did see Man of Steel and Superman Returns. I was in line for Superman Returns, the first showing that it came back. I was also in line for Man of Steel, the first showing for it, just out of total optimism. And so let me talk about why I love Superman, just kind of casual, riffing, candid stuff here. And then I'm actually going to, after I do this, I'm going to review this video that you get to see live, or not live, but see right, as I record. I'm going to take notes and I'm going to try to expand on some of the thoughts that I expressed today to really get down and deep into why I think Superman truly is the greatest superhero of all time. And the fundamental core of that is because I think that he is the most aspirational superhero of all time. Now, I'm not trying to say this is a fact that all people should accept. I'm saying that he's the most aspirational superhero for me, the one that has meant the most to me. As I've been exposed to and read and watched and seen all kinds of great superhero stuff. I've seen all the Marvel movies. Not all the Marvel movies. Most of the Marvel movies, the latest ones have not been very interesting to me. In any case, let's get on Superman. So here we go. So we know the story of Superman, right? He's from Krypton. He's got two parents. He's got two parents. They're both scientists, and Krypton's about to explode for reasons which a lot of shows and other properties have explored and kind of dug into, which has been very interesting, I think. He is sent away from Krypton as it's exploding. He is the last of his race, he thinks, for most of his life until Zod and other people show up, kneel before Zod. And he lands in a cornfield in Kansas and is taken in by middle-aged parents who had wished that they could have kids and weren't able to have kids. And so he's an orphan, the last of his kind, an alien on Earth, being raised by people who love him dearly, who to them he is the most precious gift given from heaven. He is an immortal being sent from some place outside of this realm to be raised by mortal parents to use his power for good. I mean, you can't help but see the messianic thing here, right? And that super duper resonated with me when I was a kid. Just a being who can shoulder the problems of the world and who can solve things and be there for us. He can't be there for everybody, but he makes choices. And it's those choices that make him a hero. So I love him for all the things. I love him because he can fly. Most superficial reason ever. I want to fly. I am a 49-year-old man, and when I see a star, and it's the first star of the night, do you know what I do? I say, "Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might, have this wish I wish tonight. I wish I could fly." Every time I'm outside and I see the first star of the night, even to this day, I still do that. Because you never know, man. You never know. Maybe God will grant me that or something. I actually I wrote a story called "Wish I May," that is just, I don't know what it's called, fantasy fulfillment essentially for me. But it explores the idea of maybe an alien granting power to a human person who's been doing this for his whole life, and the human person is 100% me with a few quirks. Anyway, it won silver honorable mention in the Writers of the Future contest. I had to send that around and see if it can be published. Anyway. So that's my first attempt at writing a Superman type of story, which I really enjoyed. But he can fly. I have wanted to fly my whole life. I wanted to fly so badly that I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane about 20 something years ago. It was strapped to a dude, but I ignored that guy and just acted like I was flying the whole time. My other regular channel, the one that just says Jared Garrett, has a video of that, actually. If you want to go find it, go for it. Maybe I can link to it below. I want to fly. Superman can fly. Super cool. And the effects today with these movies look like he's really flying. But you remember, that's the tagline of the very first Superman movie. Superman the movie, you will believe that a man can fly. Something like that. I did. Wanted to, did my best to fly when I was a kid. Never ended as well as I wanted it to. He can fly. He's super strong. He's super fast. So strong, fast, fly. He can, what else is there? And he's basically invincible because of how strong he is. So those are the big things. But there's also other reasons that I've loved him that are a little deeper than those just powers. Obviously, he's had power creep. Originally, the original Superman, I don't know if you know this, when he was created, he was just strong, and he was super strong and fast. His powers granted by the yellow sun of Earth. He could jump really high, leap over tall buildings, right? So he could jump so hard and so high and so well that it looked like he was flying, and then some later interpretation or derivation or whatever made him able to just fly. I like the guy who can fly. I prefer the flying stuff. In any case, he's got all these great powers, but the other big reason that I really like him, which is deeper, is that he has all these powers to the point where he seems invincible. So people have to find a weakness, right? And so you have Lex Luthor, who uses kryptonite. Every frickin' time he uses kryptonite. And other villains who use kryptonite materials or something to weaken him. But the smart criminals or the smart villains who really get Superman understand that his kryptonite may weaken his powers and his invincibility, but his real weakness is his love, which is also, of course, his strength. He was raised in the heart of America, right? He in America being, the beacon on a hill for the world. He embodied truth, justice, and the American way was his tagline forever, right? Obviously, it's been changed lately, and that's fine. But he was that embodiment of it, and he was here to live it and to show it. Again, messianically here, right? I'm all over the place. That's okay. This video is going to be all over the place. I'll script something later. It's his choices. If you can give him an impossible choice, then you've got him, right? And he has to find some way through that impossible choice, and he'll have to find a heroic way to, or he doesn't have to. His principle is not heroism. His principles are life is valuable and it needs to be saved no matter what. He needs to live by that principle of preserving life and stuff like that, and stopping the evil in things. So, the trolley problem could be an issue for him. I don't know, but he's so fast it wouldn't be an issue for him, right? But you give him an impossible choice of some kind, and that's where you're really going to find the neat conflict for Superman. I want to write a story that has those kinds of choices where he has to make choices, and there's cost to those choices, and he can't, fly around the world and bring Lois Lane back. That's the only problem with that movie. It's literally a perfect movie other than that. But you couldn't kill Lois Lane. You could have. It's okay. There have to be costs for choices. And I think having a hero who has got so much practically invincibility and practically unlimited power, who there are still these limits, that there are still these costs for the choices that he makes that are noble, that are done out of a deep desire to do good and do right. That's powerful stuff. That's a very interesting place to explore for the Superman stories and the Superman mythos. But I've loved Superman again because he can fly, because he's strong, and because he makes noble choices. That's the last thing I should probably get into here. He makes noble choices. He chooses good. He's selfless in his choices. He never puts himself before others when it comes to the choices that he makes. He never puts his own interest before others in the choices that he makes. Even in the Superman the movie, the first one, he put saving, the world, or I guess part of California, California. Anyway, part of California before saving Lois, and then of course that was the cost he was going to have to pay until he figured out that he could go super fast and go back in time or something. I don't know. So he put his, the lives of so many others before the woman he loved the most, which is a selfless act, and I think that's beautiful, and that's the deepest reason that I love Superman. He's selfless. He's noble, and it's not because he's perfect. It's because he weighs it, and he makes that choice. He's not a perfect person making that choice. He is a flawed being with great power who has to make that choice, and I find that deeply inspiring, that his choices, in as much as he's able with his powerful, limited, but it's still limited perspective on things, he has to make choices, and then he has to live with them, and he does live with them, except for, of course, getting Lois back alive. The good Superman stories explore that, and explore the nobleness of Superman, and how those choices can be made. I've rambled some. In any case, I want to tell you two things more that I wanted to comment on. So, Superman Returns. I don't know how you say the actor's last name. Is it Routh or Ruth? I think it's Brandon Routh. It looks like Routh. Brandon Routh. That man embodied the character really well. He embodied Clark Kent. He embodied Superman. There's always supposed to have been a gawkiness to Clark Kent, kind of a goofiness. Brandon Routh captured that. Now, he kind of captured... it was a little bit Christopher Reeve-esque, right? He kind of... It felt a lot like an homage to Christopher Reeve, but I think that Ralph put his own spin on it, which was good. I really liked Superman Returns. Let's see, what didn't I like? I thought, well, I liked, he has powers. I liked his the exploration of an alien being, but also seemingly human in aspect, who's got such inconceivable power, but he can do such good with it. But in this movie, of course, his powers are more limited than we sometimes see in shows and read in the stories and stuff, which I liked. I like a little bit more limit on it. I liked the exploration of, does he have a son? That was cool, by the way. Really well done on that part. But I didn't like Lex Luthor in that movie at all. And I didn't like just again, it's all kryptonite, always kryptonite. It's so dumb, particularly because he could do a lot of this stuff from a distance, right? He doesn't have to actually get up close and personal and step on kryptonite islands or whatever, right? He could figure this out. I don't know, freeze a chunk of the ocean or something and lift it from there. It's not that hard to avoid the kryptonite. So it was a little cheap for me. But otherwise, I thought the mood was good, and I thought the exploration of the alienness of him and the choices he was making, and the desire, there was a strong, deep desire for him to be a part of Lois's life, and this turned out to be his son's life, spoilers, and human life, but also he had this responsibility, which it was well explored. And then in Man of Steel, and the music, and Superman Returns was, there you go. But and then the music, and then Man of Steel, the music in that is unreal. Henry Cavill embodied Superman so beautifully well. Little less gawkiness in the Clark Kent version, which is fine. I loved the finding himself storyline. I loved that. I loved the love story between him and Lois Lane in that one with Amy Adams. Amy Adams was great. Almost as good as Margot Kidder. It's just super good. But so again, noble choices, trying to figure out his place in the world, making the choices that that can save others' lives and that are selfless choices. I think that was great. I don't need to see Superman have modern morals around relationships with the woman he loves. That was tiresome. I didn't need that. And also the last thing is that Superman doesn't kill people. Right? He doesn't kill people. I like that they put deep angst on him to do what he did to Zod at the end of that movie, but he doesn't kill people. He finds another way. that was a non-noble choice of Superman. He had to find another way. Um, but we have to have a permanent solution for villains. We do, but we also have to maintain our integrity and our principles at any cost. Furthermore, the fight that they have utterly lays waste to parts of Metropolis. What is that? You guys have range weapons. Fly into space and shoot each other with your lasers. Even if Zod doesn't want to do that, Kal-El would. Superman would. You would fly up into space, get out of everywhere, and fight up there. It's that was so bloody irritating. The destruction, and it was honestly very. The images, some of them were a little reminiscent of 9/11, and I thought that was inappropriate. Anyway, but I liked those movies overall. If they had been combined, if you combine those movies, I think you'd get a really great Superman movie. I have been chewing on thoughts on how I would write a Superman story, and I'm getting there slowly. But let me script a video, or at least give me some more of an outline, so that I can really get deeper into some of the important and interesting things about Superman. Things like, his villains. I've got a little list here. His mythology, the people who are in his life and why they're important. The power of the character and maybe some of the versions that have been taken out there. But for me, Superman is my favorite superhero of all time. In my mind, he's not so overpowered that he's boring. The choices he has to make, the selfless choices he needs to make, and the fact that he does make selfless choices make him admirable. And he's self-sacrificing all the time. That makes him admirable as well, and aspirational. I think that's beautiful. You probably will see a similarity between why I like Superman so much and why I like the book The Giving Tree in that previous video over there. Thanks for tuning in, and I will get a part 2 of this probably next week. This is just kind of a rando one. Thanks for tuning in, and keep reading and keep, doing stuff. If you like this, of course, subscribe. See you soon.